Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session on building world-class remote culture across borders. This is such an important topic, and it's one of my favorites because many of you are either onboarding your very first international team member or you already have a couple EORs or individual contractors in different countries, and that's really exciting. It also comes with a big challenge. How do you make sure that people feel like they truly belong to one team when they're spread across countries, time zones, and even different employment models? So let's start with that. Remote does not have to mean disconnected. And that's the problem. But disconnection is a real risk if culture is treated as an afterthought. When you've got people logging in from different time zones, speaking different languages, and following different work norms, it's easy for the work to start feeling very transactional instead of connecting to a bigger purpose. And for EORs and ICs, who often don't have the in person onboarding experience, that gap can feel even wider. So, how do you bridge that? We think about culture across a few key pillars. The first is cultural sensitivity. When you're building across borders, you can't just run things from your headquarters and assume it works for everybody. That means recognizing local holidays, adapting communication styles, and respecting how work gets done in different regions. Something as simple as acknowledging cultural celebrations can go a really long way in making people feel included. The second pillar is communication. Remote first countries thrive when communication is clear, inclusive, and deliberate. And that means setting norms around how decisions get shared, which channels are used for what, and keeping in mind that not everybody is fluent in the same languages. So, leaning into asynchronous communication is a game changer here. It helps people across time zone participate without feeling the pressure to be always on. Next, we have team connection. Team building doesn't happen by accident when you're remote. It needs to be designed. That could be weekly shoutouts, virtual coffee chats, trivia session, or regional meetups when possible. These rituals create belonging and trust. My favorite is hosting monthly virtual game nights with my team. And Deel itself can help here with integrations and tools that make that connection part of the workflow, not just an afterthought. Another big one is a shared purpose. At Dale, we've seen that one of the strongest drivers of engagement in global teams is when every employee or contractor, whether you are an AOR, an IC, or a headquarters staff, understands how their work ladders up to company goals. And that's why it's critical not to only onboard people into their tasks, but to bring them into your mission. Don't let contractors just feel like external help. Show them why their project matters, how it ties into the bigger picture, and recognize them when they hit their milestones. Then, of course, you need the right technology stack to support collaboration and culture and that asynchronous communication. That might mean Slack or Teams for communication. It could mean Notion or Google Workspace for documentation, and culture tools like Lattice or Culture Amp to measure engagement. Deal fits into this stack by ensuring no matter where someone is, they are onboarded compliantly, they see their holidays and benefits reflected in the platform, and they feel like they're part of one seamless system. Finally, a world class culture needs flexibility with structure. Flexibility matters. You want people to have autonomy over their time zones. But flexibility without structure creates chaos. So share working hours, align on overlaps, and focus on outcomes instead of rewarding always on behavior. Now, let's zoom into what this looks like specifically for onboarding EORs and ICs. When you onboard someone through Deel as an employee of record, EOR, they are a full employee in their country. But your job is to make them feel like they're part of your team, not an outsourced labor. Give them the same Slack access, the same recognition, the same team onboarding rituals, and make sure that they're really welcomed into the culture from day one. For ICs, independent contractors, boundaries are a little different, but culture still matters. Bring them into the why of the projects, not just the what. Clarify how their work ties to your goals and celebrate those milestones with them. That balance of professionalism and connection helps you keep strong relationships without blurring that contractor boundary. So, how do you keep culture alive over time? Through consistent check ins, recognition, visibility, and reworking your model. You could do surveys, you could do retros, or even just a quick weekly team sync can keep that engagement really high and continue for you to learn. Publicly celebrate contributions, not just in your HQ, but across every location. And where possible, give your employees of record, so EORs, access to learning and growth opportunities so they see a future with you, not just a job or a project. And this is where Deel can help. We centralize onboarding for EORs and ICs, but we don't just stop at compliance. We support cultural elements too. We remind you that there is a public holiday coming up in your EOR's local region. Or we tell you about local benefits and workflows that make sure people feel connected and not isolated. And that way, you can build one unified culture without sacrificing local needs. So, if you take away one thing today, let it be this: remote culture doesn't build itself. It requires deliberate effort, but the payoff is huge. It means higher retention, stronger engagement, and a team that feels truly global, not just distributed. And if you are currently expanding globally and you would love some help to build that culture while staying compliant, let us know and we'd love to jump on a call with you to help you scale. Thank you for joining today, and I hope you enjoyed this little webinar.